So actually, I just stole the presentation from the video I showed you, I shared, and we were talking about the AI. And actually, I'm not sure if it's gonna work. But first of all, I wanted to start with some video that I found, but I'm not sure if the video is going to play. But this is part of the presentation of the Google that was a few days ago. I'm not sure if he we would hear the video, but.
AI, generative AI, AI as AI. It uses AI to bring AI.
We saw this this one, but
yeah, actually, it's also for the Google presentation, and everyone talks about AI and ChatGPT. But I was wondering how it works, like in the core, because everyone is using it. But what is this? So actually, yeah, this video that I shared was really helpful to understand, and I'm just gonna highlight the main ideas of it. So really, what it does, it's the language model, and it produces the probability of the distribution or some vocabulary. So let's imagine we have the I am word, and the task is to predict the next word of the sequence I am. And actually, that is very core of what ChatGPT does. And how it does it, it has a vocabulary, for example, of 50,000 words, and it knows which word are likely to follow other words in some sequence. So if you give it sentence I am, and over the vocabulary, it gives you likelihood of every single word. And maybe the next word is happy. The real magical things that happened is you can generate new text. So if you give the GPT I am, now it predicts happy as being the most probable word. And then you can append it to I am. So now you have I am happy, and you feed it to the model again and again and again and again. And in the support, you have the model that suddenly you have a language model that can write essays and talk to the people with a whole lot of things. But actually the problem, it was the kind of ChatGPT free part. And the problem was, if you have here, so if we talk about explain the moon landing to 6-year-old, what ChatGPT 3 does, it actually predicts the words, so explain the theory of gravity to a 6-year-old, and this is what it generates. It just didn't understand that it should answer the question. So OpenAI came with solution. They give the model a whole bunch of questions and answers that when the ChatGPT was born, and gave of hundreds of millions of users in 1 month. And that's ChatGPT Node. So they created an interface when the model knows that if you gave some input, you need to have the output of the same sentence that in the same answer that you asked. But still, actually, it's this language model that predicts the probability of the next word in the framework of question and answer. And that's what the prompt it is. So you need to have the right prompt and question. And there was this this speak was by the Steamship, and its tool that allows you to build, host, and share the AI tools and your AI stuff, and they created kind of wrapper on the ChatGPT and some useful functions. And they also analyzed how the people using it in their system. So there is a few what they see, what's using this. And I'm gonna just briefly go through it, how GPT is used now. So first of all, it's companionship. So for example, they have this example. So this they have hackathon. Actually, you can go to this and browse the creations, the submissions. So yeah, there is a lot of bots. So one of them is, for example, you have the chatbot and you write something, I am sad. And what this chat is doing is that this chat was built by the girl who learned Chinese, and she wanted to have the I will show the code here. So actually, it was just a prompt. So she wanted to explain her mood, and she wanted to return a string that completes the sentence, and to be a kind, helpful Chinese teacher that responds to every situation by explaining this, to create some I don't know, beautiful Chinese or sentence, and translate it, speak in English, and then like provides a note of encouragement about learning language. So actually what it does now is like gives me some Chinese sentence, and it means the sadness is not permanent, and times of sadness can be followed by times of joy, and inspires me to keep learning. So actually, it's how it's simple now to build all this stuff. And actually, pretty good stuff about Steamship is that you can use it in Telegram. So you can create like the bot and publish it in a few seconds. They have a pretty good plugins and docs about it. So you can have this bot in your Telegram or Slack or anywhere. And it's kind of thing that Grigoria said that. Shown us today, but without need to write the prompt every time. You can create just once time. You can create something like this, made your prompt really good, and then like just asking the question without needing to write the prompt every time. Also, every good example of this companionship type is that I found in another talk where a guy make a translator based on AI, but with deepfake. Train it to his voice. So actually the thing was when he speaks out loud, so in English, and it's the app is recording it, translating it, and like playing it out in the language that he like wants to, for example, in France. But the thing is that it's translated and talks with his voice and his tone. It's really cool stuff. So question answer, another like type of the apps is question answering, and it's pretty good, for example, for the chats. For example, you have some app and you want to have the chatbot on your website. And actually, what you should do is train. There is a diagram. So you actually train or add to GPT with some files, some data, and you train over it. So if the customers ask some question about the specific specific feature of your product, you say like, please answer it using only the source of documents or materials that I've provided you. So now like the answer is dynamically generated, but based on the prompt and based on the documents that you loaded. So for example, another example of it. So for example, we as SeniorDev team, we have like 30, 40 developer, designer, manager that use different technologies and has different experience. And you can like say, okay, some, I don't know, Kirill is really good in design and Sergey is good in management and so on, so on, so on. And then you ask, who is the best person from the list above to solve the problem? And you describe the problem, and actually it will give the answer, like who is the best to like, for a specific task or for a specific project, maybe.
Sergey, probably.
Yeah. So yeah, this is pretty good stuff. And actually, yeah, you can create this stuff once, publish it to Telegram or Slack bot, and you would have it's like on your own. The next type is utility. So utility is like generate unit tests and factoring and other stuff. So I'm not going to deeply about it. And creativity, the same is this stuff that generate the images based on prompt. But this prompt factoring is really, really important. But the really cool thing is about this experimental stuff, because it's not really like well known now. It's pretty wild now, because this, for example, this multi-step task agents is something that you allow to GDP or AI talk to itself. So, for example, you want to build, you ask GDP to build a company, and like GPT generates steps to build a company, but then you like provide the same answer and say like, okay, describe me like recursively these steps. So it allows the ChatGPT to talk with itself again, and that's actually how I'm not sure if you heard about or BabyAGI. So actually, it's the thing that for the task manager, task solving, when like GGP talks to itself. It's pretty good, pretty wild, and like not so I don't know, wild usage. So it's something that can be done pretty good. Yeah, and About the presentation, I believe that's all, but there are some good questions about, there was a lot of questions about the ChatGPT on the same lecture. It's about the hallucination and why it, like, if you ask something that doesn't exist, ChatGPT just comes with the answer from nowhere. Like, it just creates some data without nowhere. And the thing is, why it's happening is because the model doesn't have a ground truth and it doesn't know anything. Like any sentence of meaning that is like it's training of the process of the words. So it's something like it's someone who learned English or know how to speak, but they grew up in the gray room. So they never seen outside world. They have nothing to rest on. Tells them something is true or not. That's why like they sometimes like just create some facts and so on. And the fastest way to remove this hallucination is to add the ability to ChatGPT or like to AI systems to the other world, for example, to allow it to Google or something like that. And also there is interesting stuff about the ChatGPT and like interesting. Let me came to the word. The system. So actually, we have this human system and the companies and teams. And as a human, we tend to have the problems, and we can have the errors in our work. And let's see. So, for example, we create systems to deal with the errors. So, for example, one human works on the task. The second one is checks the works, and the third human like provides the improvement of the task. And this is really common how company and system in our life works. And also the thing about the software right now, we tend to be in this mode when we just talk into ChatGPT as with one entity. But once we start thinking in terms of teams where each team member is AI agent, with own set of objective skills. So for example, you create the agents, one is developer, the second one like is the reviewer, and the third one is approver. And suddenly you have like the programming model in which there is not a single agent, but instead a collective intelligence of multiple AI agents, and each playing the different roles. And actually it's more like following the human pattern. And I believe we will see something like this in the future time. So, for example, give the analogy: the space shuttles that goes into the space, they have to be good. Like if they're not, the people could die. So they have no margin for errors, and so as the result, they over-engineer some stuff. So, for example, most spacecrafts have 3 computers, and they all have to agree in unison on a particular step to go forward. And if one does not agree, they recalculate and recalculate again until they arrive on something answer that's like the same on every computer. So yeah, this is one example of human system, but actually I believe it could be how could have AI agents that's like solve some question or some task, and they would have to agree with each other. It's pretty good idea how to implement it. But actually, at the same time as the ChatGPT is really intelligent and it solves I believe it passed some of the exam by, I don't know, in the law school, like it's really hard exam. At the same time, for example, it's pretty stupid. Like I ask question, you have 2 bottles of 6 liters and 12 liters capacity, how measure 6 liters? And answer is like just pour the 6 liters and that's all. Like you have the 6 liter, but it gives the answer. Fill the 12-liter bottle completely with the liquid. Pour the liquid from 12 to 6 liter until it's full. This will leave 6 liter in liquid remaining in 12 bottle. And then you can discard the liquid of the 6-liter bottle and transfer it to the 6 liquid. And that's all. Like, it's pretty stupid at the same task. So
I think you can use like ChatGPT 4. I think they kind of resolve this issue. It's more precise. I mean, you can test in 4. I mean, I also tested some times ago, like also such questions. So 3.5 doesn't resolve it, but the version 4 resolved it. But you need to pay for this version. Yeah, it's like the upgraded plus version.
So, yeah, I believe that's all from my side. That's something that I found useful, especially about these systems of multiple AI agents, that you can create a team of your AI agents and use them as we use in human.